Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Thank you all for joining us here today. My name is Andrew Campbell, and I'm the Interim Chief Executive Officer of Parks Canada. And today I have the great pleasure on a very historic day of being your MC. I'd like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that Jasper National Park is located in Treaty 6 and 8, as well as the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Anishinaabeg, Winnikwak, the Denizah, the Nehiyawak, the Secapma, the Stoney Nakoda, and the Métis people. We acknowledge the past, the present, the future generations of these nations who continue to steward the land on which we are today, the land that we call Jasper National Park. Nous rendons hommage aux générations de ces nations, celles d'hier, celles d'aujourd'hui et celles de demain, qui continuent d'assurer l'intendance du territoire que les gens appellent aujourd'hui le Parc National Jasper. Speaking today, we have the honor of having with us the Honorable Eleanor Osheski, Minister of Emergency Management, Community Resilience, Minister responsible for Prairie's Economic Development Canada, and the one that we all love the most, the ministerial lead for the Jasper Reconstruction and Resilience, and the MP for Edmonton Centre. And again, I will say the one we love the most is the minister responsible for Jasper. Also with us today, we have the Honorable François-Philippe Champagne, ministre des Finances et Revenu National, et aujourd'hui un ministre aussi responsable de Jasper.
I'll take that.
There we go. All right. I probably don't have the right to be able to do that, but I did. And finally, the Mayor of Jasper and a great friend of Parks Canada, Richard Ireland.
Yes.
So if you can please join me now in welcoming Minister Olszewski, and she will be delivering her remarks.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hello everyone, bon après-midi. Actually, this is a great day. Thank you all so much for being here, and a special thank you to Minister Champagne. Do you know, as we were driving through the park gates and into town, I couldn't help but reflect on what a stunning place of glaciers and rivers and mountains and forests and alpine meadows in Jasper, and what that means to not only people in Alberta, but people across the country and around the world. You all know that this is a place of unparalleled beauty. Whether you're taking a stroll around Lake Annette, or hanging out with the marmots on the top of Whistler Mountain, or taking a boat ride on Maligne Lake to Spirit Island, or just having a glass of wine overlooking Lac Beauvert at Jasper Park Lodge, Jasper is a place that welcomes visitors with pride. It's a place of lasting memories, and it's really helped define our province. In my visits here after the wildfires, in my role as Jasper lead, I've seen firsthand not just the scale of what was lost, but the strength and the determination of the people of Jasper as they recover and rebuild. We know that recovery doesn't just mean some damaged property gets rebuilt. It's so much more than that. It involves so many interconnected factors like housing and business community and insurance and community well-being and workforce availability. All of those things interact and they affect the recovery process. And it too involves a system that depends on strong coordination and sustained levels of support at all levels of government. So since the wildfires, the federal government has helped Jasper respond and recover, providing $385 million for interim housing support, support to local business, tourism marketing, rebuilding of infrastructure, funding for wildlife preparedness and risk reduction. Real progress has been made, and it reflects the complete determination of this community, as well as the strength of the partnerships required to keep things moving. So today is about continuing that very important work. And with that, it's my great pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, the Honorable François-Philippe Champagne, Minister of Finance and National Revenue, who's here to make an incredible announcement.
Wow, you're very good. So well said. So well said. So well said. So well said. Wow, and the sun is shining. You know, it's good. Bonjour tout le monde. It's nice to see you. It's nice to be here. And I have a simple, and I would say powerful message to the people of Jasper and the entire community, Mayor. We are here for you, and Canada is there for you, and we're going to rebuild Jasper together. We have already started that work, very important work you've been doing, but I think today, Mayor, you will agree that this is a landmark announcement. I was just with some of my friends at Parks Canada, Mayor, and they were reminding me, no one can remember in the history of Parks Canada such a significant investment in one particular community, in one particular park. So on the eve of Canada's Day, I just think to say this is Canada coming together for the people of Jasper, the good people of Jasper. And Mayor, you don't have to go very far. I can tell you, I just walk in the street, whether it's the fire department people, whether it's the RCMP officers, whether it's the restaurants owner and the business community. This is a place, one of the most beautiful places in our country. This is at the heart of Alberta. But it's also a place where you find resilience. It's a place where you find compassion. It's a place where you find courage. And I can tell you, I could not be more pleased than to be able to, and to say today to all the people who are going to be watching that, and everyone here and around Alberta, we're going to be there to rebuild Jasper. We're going to rebuild Jasper with its stunning beauty, so that not only Canadians can be proud, but the world will be proud of this wonderful place. You just have to look at the surrounding, and thank you for bringing the sun with you, Mayor. I think you've organized that very, very, very well. Let me start with my colleague, Minister Olszewski, Minister of Emergency Management. Mayor and the whole community, you have a very strong voice for Alberta, a very strong voice for Jasper, a very strong voice for what matters to people in times of crisis. And I could not be more proud, Eleanor, to stand with you today, with the good people of Jasper, to say we are going to be there for you. And you have been the leading voice in making sure that we do this announcement today. The Prime Minister and I were very glad to join our voice and our efforts to what you have been doing. As you said, the federal government has been there from the get-go with the municipality, with our friends of Parks Canada. But today is really a landmark announcement. This is, we're doubling down in our effort to support the community here. And I'll keep the best to the end to make sure that you stay with me along in this great announcement. Trust me. But I want to say, Mayor Ireland, everyone likes you, it seems, in town. I've been talking about you across town. You've been mayor since its incorporation in 2001. So I can only say you have been an outstanding leader for this community, but also to some of its most difficult time. And I'm honored that even your wife would have chosen to be with us today. So thank you. Sima, if you've moved, I can look at Madam. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much for being with us. Mayor told me you only come on very special historic occasions. So we're glad you're with us today. And Mayor, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your leadership and your stewardship at a time of great need for the community. I mean, you just have to walk the streets here, the temporary housing, the restaurants. Everyone here has been chipping in to rebuild this community, and I think you've been, you exemplify what's best in Canada. When things get tough, leaders come out. they lead and they support with compassion, and you've been one of them. And I think with the city, with my friend Eleanor, you've been doing great things, Mayor. I want to say thank you to Andrew Campbell as the interim CEO of Parks Canada and the 400 Parks Canada employees. You will recognize them in their green outfit. I have had the privilege to be with them in so many ways because there's a national park in my own riding. So I've spent hours and hours with them, and I want to say thank you. And I would say you even took one of our very best, Geneviève Caron, who used to be in Shawinigan now. She's in Jasper. So you took the very, very best. But I think we're very proud to see the 400 men and women who are making a difference. You've been there. This has been tough, but all along the way, you supported the community. You've been rebuilding with the community, and you've been inspiring us to be at our very best. I just want to say thank you. To Stuart Black as well, the CEO of Pursuit Collection, thank you for being with us and allowing us to be with you. But my biggest acknowledgement, before I start even, is to all the people. It's the 400 plus families, Mayor, that have been affected by this devastating fire. The community members, the thousands of community members in Jasper, who through their work and effort, their perseverance, have rebuilt Jasper. And to, like I said, the hundreds of Parks Canada employees. You lived through this disaster and helped with the recovery and rebuilding of Jasper. On behalf of all Canadians, I want to say thank you. This has been hard. I can see it. You just have to go in the street and talk to people and look around in the temporary housing. But the resiliency you have shown is extraordinary. So my words today are really to the people of the community, the thousands of people who in their own way, big and small, have contributed to this announcement today. And I would say it's a real privilege to be here in Jasper National Park and to personally thank the first responders. I had a chance to do that today, to the walking in the street, meeting a number of people who work at the fire station, and just say thank you. Thank you for your work. They work tirelessly day and night to protect this park and the people who call it home. They are the true heroes in this story. And tomorrow, I think Mayor will have a chance to go and visit them with Eleanor to say thank you more personally to all of them. It's been almost 2 years since the devastating wildfire of summer 2024. And we could see it was a windy day then. It's a windy day today. But I don't need a speech to share the passion that you could see in what we have been doing here in this great place, because the people of Jasper have been able to show Canada and the world what it means when you have a community which is facing so much and working together to rebuild. And you know, Canadians from coast to coast to coast have been watching you, and they have been watching with deep concern and sorrow as one of our country's natural treasure was on fire and families and businesses were forced to flee. But in the face of this crisis, like I said, we also witnessed something extraordinary. Communities coming together, neighbors supporting one another, and shared determination to preserve what we have in a really true Canadian spirit. More than 3,000 personnel worked for over 6 weeks to bring the fire under control, something you would recall, Eleanor, very much. Their courage and swift action made it possible to safely evacuate 20,000 residents and visitors that were here in Jasper on that day. But the damage was profound, and it was felt still to this day. Approximately 30,700 acres were burned, and nearly 30% of the town of Jasper was destroyed. 25% of the assets we have in the Jasper National Park. But through all of this devastation, as I said, your recovery and resilience have been remarkable. Malgré l'ampleur de la dévastation qu'on a vue ici à Jasper, la communauté de Jasper a fait preuve d'une résilience remarquable. Votre détermination, votre solidarité et votre engagement à reconstruire sont une source d'inspiration pour l'ensemble du pays. The park began reopening in September 2024, and I've heard from the business community, Jasper is open for business, right? I can see the smile there. Jasper is open for business. For all of those watching around Canada, if you're planning your summer vacation, Jasper is the place to be. Jasper is open, Jasper is welcoming, and Jasper is rebuilding. So I think that on behalf of all the business community, and I can see a few smiles in the room, we're willing and ready to welcome you here because 95% of this national park has been open to Canadians and visitors from around the world. But through the recovery, Canadians and the Canadian government stood alongside the people of Jasper. Minister Olszewski said it. We have been there from the very first day, along with our provincial and our municipal colleagues, supporting residents, restoring essential services, rebuilding critical infrastructure in partnership with the town of Jasper and local stakeholders. And I want to say thank you, Mayor, because you've been a partner of choice. I could not think of a better partner than you, Mayor, when things were tough, that we could work together, speed up permitting, making sure that, with the Parks Canada folks, with the leadership of Minister Olszewski, we get things done. And we get things done quickly. We remove red tape. We get going and just have to see the construction in town to see that in action. And the creation of the Jasper Recovery Coordination Center was a key element of that. We brought people together under your leadership to make sure that we would do what was needed. A recovery which is led by the community, but also work for the community and put the citizens at the heart of what we're doing here. So since the wildfire, as Minister Osheski said, we have invested already $385 million in response and recovery. You have seen this has permitted to accelerate reconstruction, providing interim housing for families. And honestly, when I was driving past, my heart was with these families. I just think of them, their kids, and I hope that today they'll find reassurance. I'm coming to that. I know people are saying, I hope you're coming to the announcement. This is just the introduction. But I just want to share because this is a moment for us to reflect on what happened, but also look forward. But I was really thinking about the families and the kids. And if there are kids watching today, I hope we can reassure them that it's going to be okay. We're going to rebuild Jasper in all its beauty, and we are very committed to be doing that. And we've seen already dozens and dozens of property being reconstructed today. So as the residents and businesses continue to rebuild their lives and livelihood, our government remains more committed than ever in supporting this community every step of the way. And today, it is my pleasure to announce on behalf, I would say, of all Canadians, that the Government of Canada will be providing $520 million in additional funding to accelerate the rebuilding of Jasper National Park. Yeah, I think we can take a pause to acknowledge that. $520 million to support the community of Jasper, to support the region, to rebuild Jasper in its sanitary beauty. And I wish all Canadians who are watching at home today could see the smile in the face of the people because they know what this is going to do. This is going to accelerate building critical infrastructure, making sure we can expand interim housing for families so they can move in permanent housing, making sure that we invest in measures to prevent fire. There's a number of technology and techniques that we're going to be deploying here in Jasper to help prevent fires like what we have seen and restore the beauty of Jasper National Park so that, families and generations of Canadians can come and see what is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And we will want to make sure with this money, Mayor, that we can accelerate the critical repairs. And I can see in your face and in your smile, you'll be a great partner for us to do that. And I think for families, this is probably very welcome news for families to see that the federal government is stepping up. If you look at what we have done before and what we're doing, it's close to $1 billion that will have been invested just here in Jasper and in the national park to make sure that we restore the full beauty of what we have here. So aujourd'hui, j'ai le privilège et le plaisir d'annoncer avec ma collègue, la ministre Osheski, que le gouvernement du Canada va investir une somme additionnelle de 520 millions de dollars pour accélérer la reconstruction du parc national de Jasper, un site du patrimoine mondial de l'UNESCO, et pour soutenir le logement temporaire des résidents et des travailleurs. Donc, ces sommes-là vont servir à trois choses. D'abord, rebâtir des infrastructures essentielles ici dans le parc national de Jasper. Deuxièmement, augmenter l'offre de services pour les résidences temporaires pour les résidents ici à Jasper. Troisièmement, mettre des technologies en place pour prévenir un incendie, un feu de forêt qu'on a vu en 2024 et nous permettre de restaurer évidemment le parc national dans toute sa splendeur. The Jasper community knows all too well and remember the devastating nature of what we have seen. The park, we had about 255 infrastructure assets of Parks Canada that were either destroyed or damaged during that. That's about 25% of what we have in terms of the national park mayor. It's including campgrounds, it's including staff housing, trails, and day use areas. So this funding will help really to restore that and to make sure that we get back to what it used to be. And this is essential not only for just the park, but for the people, for the businesses, and the local economy. Because let's be clear, we're committed to rebuilding Jasper stronger, faster, and more resilient than ever before, always keeping the well-being of residents at the center of what we do. Because Jasper is more than a park. Jasper is more than a park. It's a community. It's a place you call home. It's a symbol of Canada's natural heritage. It's a symbol of Canada around the world. So as I conclude, I would say, together, let's ensure it thrives for generations to come, so that years from now, you will remember that day. And this is the day that you can say to your children and grandchildren will have the opportunity to enjoy the same natural beauty and the way of life you have been able to enjoy here in Jasper. And we'll have been doing that together. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say again, on behalf of all Canadians, thank you for what you've done in Jasper. Thank you for inspiring the nation that, in face of hardship, we're Canadians, we roll up our sleeves. In face of devastation, we support each other. We invest in each other, and I'm glad that the federal government, with the municipality, Parks Canada, and all the partners, we decided together to rebuild this great place. So with that, let me introduce you to your great mayor, Mayor Ireland, which needs no introduction here in Jasper. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Minister. In fact, I think it would be appropriate to say 520 million thanks. And yes, I did see a look of shock on some faces. Catherine, you did hear it right. It is astounding, and as the Minister said, the single largest contribution to any national park or national park community that any of us can remember. So significant, and so much thanks. I'm going to return to your remarks, Minister, but I wanted to begin first with a welcome. I recognize that most of the people in this room are locals, and I welcome them to this event, but some are joining us from afar, and I simply want to welcome everyone to Jasper. As you've seen, the small mountain community with the absolutely enormous heart of resilience, which can and which will recover and thrive again, but not alone or in isolation, but with the focused care and attention of our committed partners and colleagues, Minister Champagne, Minister Olszewski. On behalf of Council and the entire community, indeed on behalf of all Canadians and international visitors who treasure this iconic national park, I extend our sincere gratitude for today's announcement and for your continued support of Jasper's recovery. You mentioned in your remarks, Minister, that you have had revealed to you certain attributes in and among the residents of town that you visited. You included determination and compassion and a sense of resilience. And I want to add to that the enormous sense of gratitude for our relationship with the federal government and the funds that you represent. The funding and the commitments that you have announced today are so significant at so many levels. From a resident's perspective, the announcement today provides an intangible element of recovery which is so still desperately needed throughout the community. certainty. With certainty comes a certain measure of relief, a diminishment of one substantial distraction and worry, and a corresponding increase in the ability to focus on the really hard work of recovery. Beyond effort and resolve and the will, recovery takes time. Rebuilding homes and businesses takes time. Reviving our visitor economy takes time. And that is the sound of progress.
And when construction happens, we wave at it.
That's right. For many of our residents, interim housing has provided the essential stability necessary while they navigate the daunting process of insurance and recovery. Today's announcement ensures that the critical financial support of interim housing will remain in place through March of 2028. And while that announcement will have a direct impact on the families living in interim housing, its benefits extend far beyond those households. It helps local businesses retain employees. It provides them an opportunity to return to self-sufficiency and to continue to contribute to the local economy, which supports all of us. It helps organizations continue to deliver services. It helps keep children in our community and in our schools. It helps volunteers in community groups continue to contribute to our social well-being. It helps families return to and remain in Jasper while they rebuild their homes and their lives. Recovery is so much more than rebuilding structures. At its core, recovery it's about providing opportunities to reestablish the connections among people that are the essence of every community and are the connections that make Jasper the exceptional place we all know it to be. We recognize too that recovery and our community well-being extends far beyond the town site. We are a national park community. Our success, our capacity to thrive, depend on the recovery of Jasper National Park. The funding announcements today which support that recovery of this protected and special place are as welcome and significant to us as are those which are more focused on the community. Restoring access to the park for Canadians and for international guests is integral to our collective recovery. So thank you, ministers. Thank you to the Prime Minister and your cabinet colleagues for that really clear demonstration of support for this largest of all of Canada's mountain national parks, a cherished home to so many of us. I want to take a moment at this time to also recognize Parks Canada and to thank Andrew Campbell and his team for their partnership throughout recovery. The relationship between the municipality of Jasper and Parks Canada has always been foundational to our success. Over the last 2 years, it has become even more critical. And we have worked collaboratively every day to solve problems, to support residents, and to move recovery forward. Minister Olszewski, as ministerial lead for Jasper Recovery, thank you indeed for your leadership. Thank you for the time you have spent listening to our community and for advocating for Jasper's recovery. And Minister Champagne, thank you for today's announcement and for the federal government's continued commitment to rebuilding Jasper stronger and more resilient than before. Recovery is far from over. It is a work in progress, and it is moving forward. Homes are being rebuilt. Businesses are reopening, as you said. Jasper is open for business. Infrastructure is being restored. Families are returning. hope continues to blossom. Today's announcement helps ensure that that momentum continues, and for that, our community is so deeply grateful. Thank you very much for today's announcement.
So if once again we can thank Mayor Ireland, Mayor Olszewski, and Minister Champagne, or Mayor Olszewski, geez. I'm changing everybody's titles today, Minister Olszewski and Minister Champagne for the awesome announcement today. If we could have another round of applause. Thank you. And as Minister Champagne said today, it really is a historic day. It's a historic day that we get to think of the next phase and the next way we all get to move forward. And the 520 million ways we can all think of moving forward. The last time that Parks Canada and the mayor were making an announcement together, he gave Parks Canada $1. And so he's got good thoughts for every dollar that has come today. Obviously, this is an important investment in the history of Jasper and the history of Jasper National Park. But I think it's also historic. Sorry, I'm just going to move that up for a sec. It's also historic in the way that that we think about iconic places of Canada and the treasures that we all hold and the treasures that we all hold dear. And I think what you've seen today and what continues to happen through the investments that are made and through the working together is we see that Canadians actually cherish those treasures and cherish them as a community from coast to coast to coast. I also want to acknowledge the work that that has been done by Bill Given and his team in Jasper and the municipality of Jasper. I like to, in my own hometown, which I will not say what it is because I don't want anybody getting upset, but I do like to bring up that if you go to Jasper, you will go to a place that doesn't have a single person waiting, over the 15 days to get their permits processed. So I think every other municipality across the country should look at that as the high bar they should all be working to. I think the urgency and pace that has been underway to date with the announcement today will keep moving forward. And I think what a terrific thing. And if I can just say to our own team of Parks Canada employees, what a tremendous amount of work that that you have done in the coordination and the working together with our colleagues in Jasper, the municipality of Jasper, as well with people all across the country, and being able to bring Jasper back in a way that is going to be safe, in a way that's going to be resilient, and a way that's going to continue to drive the economy. And I think all of those things are extremely important. And the way also that we have been able to do this with First Nations and Métis partners has been equally as impressive. I think all that at the same time as many of you have gone through the trauma of losing your home and going through that same rebuilding process. And what a heroic thing that has been for the Parks Canada team. I think as we look on today's announcement, there is still work to do, but we're building together to build a stronger, more resilient Jasper, a stronger, more resilient Canada, and one that will continue to welcome Canadians and people from around the world in the pride that all Jasperites feel. Thank you all very much. Merci. This will conclude the formal portion of the program this afternoon. The speakers will be available to take questions from the media, and I'd now like to welcome at this from the Minister's Director of Communications to moderate the questions that we have from the media today. Thank you.
Is it open?
Yep, it is working. Yep.
Okay. Hello? All right.
They're coming.
Great. So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the this press conference. So, we'll take a question from the media, one question, one follow-up. Just please state your name and the name of your media. So, we can take. We'll have a second mic. So.
Well, you can say it. I'm sure we can hear you.
Thanks so much. Bob Covey with the Jasper Local. These funds are surely welcome and provide reassurance to Jasper. Thank you so much on behalf of some of my fellow residents. As we know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. What federal supports can you speak to which will help ensure a tragedy like which Jasper experienced does not occur in other forested communities, including our neighbors in Banff, Canmore, Hinton, and other Rockies towns? And perhaps this is for either one of the ministers.
Well, I'll start, but I'll turn. I think you may want to turn that mic. I'm just health and safety first. I think I see the smiles in the room. I'll say a few words, and then I'll let maybe Parks Canada and maybe Minister Osheski. But you would have seen that there's a lot of lessons learned from what happened in Jasper. And I think the funds, like I said, they have three pillars. The first one was to reconstruct the essential infrastructure that are needed here in Jasper. The second one was to expand the interim housing capacity because we're very mindful of the families and those who are living here through this until we have permanent housing. The third one, which I think is going to your question, because there's going to be lessons learned and best practices shared across different Parks Canada, but it's around fire prevention and the techniques and what we can do and what we can learn. And I will tell you, you know, there's a number of things that have been put in practice here, and I'll let maybe Parks Canada to expand on that, but I can even tell you from my own experience in Shawinigan, and Mme. Caron, who used to be with me, we have a firefighting capability, for example, in Eastern Canada. These people are deployed, as far as I recall, across the country and share the best knowledge and the best practices. So we're going to invest in additional assets that could be deployed across the nation as well to make sure that we are best in class when it comes to firefighting capabilities. And I think you have a minister who has been the lead minister for the recovery of Jasper. She understands better than anyone else, I would think, in cabinet, the impact that what we have seen in Jasper and what we need to do in order to prevent that. Now, there will always be natural disasters, and there will always be a level of preparedness that we need to adopt. But we're going to learn from that, and what you should see in the announcement today is that we're putting significant dollars behind innovation practices and what we call advanced fire risk mitigation techniques to make sure that we prevent to the large extent possible what we have seen here. But maybe Eleanor wants to add, or our colleagues from Parks Canada can go into detail of these specific measures. Minister?
Thank you. I'll just add a couple of general comments before I turn things over to Andrew, because he can answer specifically the parks questions. Just with respect to what we've done across the country, one of the things is that the federal government, for the first time ever, is leasing aerial firefighting equipment. And so that consists of 5 water bombers and 5 heavy lift helicopters. And I'm really pleased to say, I mean, not pleased in a way, but those assets are being used across the country at the present time for the wildfires that exist at this time. So I'm just really grateful that we were able to move forward with respect to that aircraft. And then one of the other things that we've done, and there are a number of things, but I'll just highlight this. We know that evacuations are so stressful and so difficult for myriad reasons. And so, the teams that we employ as the federal government to assist communities, we call them the humanitarian workforce, and a number of them were in play during the, in the aftermath of the Jasper fires, and that includes groups like Red Cross, Team Rubicon, St. John's Ambulance, etc. And so we've renewed our arrangements and put additional funding into our arrangements with those humanitarian workforce partners as well. There's a number of other things, but your question really had to do with parks, and so I think I'll turn it over to Andrew. He can answer more directly. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. And I will, just before I do make Parks Canada comments, I will also say Minister Olszewski and her team at Emergency Management Canada have been doing an exceptional job of the coordination between all federal government departments, and certainly Parks Canada with federal firefighters were an important part of that, but as well with having new equipment and with the planes that Minister Osheski talked about, but as well having one standard way that we are starting to look at fire, and the investment that Minister Osheski and Emergency Management Canada has been putting into looking at how fire and fire behavior goes, and working with our colleagues at Natural Resources Canada as well to look at the change in fire behavior since the last about 4 years, and seeing the changes that has had to do in what we've had to do from preparation. And because of that, Parks Canada has done more preparation across the country, more fire smarting, more wildfire reduction efforts. You only have to go up to Pyramid Bench here to see some of the large fire breaks that have been created over the last few years. Prescribed burning at a high rate when we can meet the prescription that allows for safe burning of areas, so that is no longer fuel for future fires. And we're doing that all across the country. And we're looking at what is required in the new fire world with the new fire behaviors in order to take the highest prevention. As well, we've been working with the municipality of Jasper, municipality of Banff, and in the 5 municipalities where we act as the local government. We've been looking at those communities as well and really upping fire smarting. And that is working together again with the province in Alberta as well on the Fire Smart programs and how we can do that in all of the communities. And then taking that, and Natural Resources Canada has taken a lot of the lessons that we are doing here and sharing that with other communities that are close in and around large forested areas across the country, which is a lot of our country. And so as we have that, we need to look at, and with the change in fire behavior and the change in the fire risk of our country, we need to do all of these things. And we need to be fire smart in our communities. We need to be fire smart within national parks. And so we are working hard to continue to do all of that work. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, sorry to intervene. I just wanted to add something to Bob's question, and I appreciate your concern for our neighbors, and I appreciate the really natural and strong support we have had from Parks Canada, and your response was primarily about Parks Canada's ability to help other national park communities. I think we can go a step further, though, and I want to shed a little bit of the sunshine that was here earlier on Minister Olszewski. When Jasper experienced wildfire in 2024, there was a Minister of Emergency Management and Public Safety. Minister Olszewski's portfolio has changed, and she is the Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience. And to me, that signals an all-of-government approach at the federal level to focus on community resilience. That could mean preparation and planning and mitigation in advance of disasters. And I think that's such a healthy and welcome approach. And I want to give credit to Minister Olszewski and the federal government for recognizing that this goes beyond Parks Canada. Parks Canada is the only federal agency equipped to fight fires, for example. But as we see across the country every year, there are so many communities engaged in fighting wildfires, and I would hope that they might be able to draw on resources as Jasper has been able to do, as I know Banff will be able to do if the need arises. But it is an issue absolutely for the country, and I think that there are positive signs of a fresh approach at the federal level, which to me are just so encouraging. So I thank you, Bob, for the question.
Well said.
Sorry, Minister, my question is for the Mayor, Sarah Ryan, Global News. Mayor, I believe you said that this funding will help maintain interim housing until March 2028, is that correct? Do you expect it will all still be needed at that time, those trailers, or do you see the number of trailers required downsizing before then?
Thank you for the question. If plans unfold as are expected, yes, there will be over time a diminishing need for all of those units, although that doesn't mean that there won't be fresh people able to return to town who could take advantage of those units. So we are so grateful for the funding that will allow occupancy to continue at least now until March of 2028. We will continually assess where we are. We know now that there are approximately 750 people, 415 families making use of that. But we also recognize that there are still people displaced from Jasper who just don't have a place to come back. So as we hope will happen, the rebuilding will allow people to transition from interim housing to permanent housing. That doesn't necessarily obviate the need for that interim housing. So we will have to see how it plays out.
Thank you. My follow-up is also for you. And perhaps one of the ministers, if they want to jump in. Noticeably, the province is not here. We know that Jasper residents have been very frustrated with the province's support following the fire. What should we take away from their absence today, and what is that relationship like with Jasper now?
You should take nothing away from their absence today. This is a federal announcement. We welcome the federal government into our community. We have had announcements here as well with the provincial government, and hopefully we will again. We rely on so much outside assistance. As I said, we cannot do this alone. We cannot do this in isolation. The federal funding announced today now ramps all federal funding up to something close to $900 million. But there is also significant provincial funding in place that continues. Collectively, we're over $1 billion of support into our community, and that's not even counting agencies like the Red Cross that have contributed so much. So we recognize that we need all the partnerships that we can get. The provincial partnership is important to us. This just happens to be a federal announcement, and there will be other, I hope, provincial announcements.
And if I may add to your question, I just want to be clear. I did communicate with Premier Smith yesterday as I landed to inform her about what we were doing today, to say that this was federal funding through Parks Canada, because this is primarily, but as the mayor said, this is all hands on deck. I don't think when you face a challenge like we have faced here in Jasper, everyone has a role to play. And I can tell you the Premier responded to me immediately. She was thankful, grateful. I think she was here recently as well. She said, it's great you're going as well. I mentioned that Mr. Olszewski had been in touch with her counterpart in the province. So this is really all hands on deck. You know, this is for the people of Jasper. This is for the Park of Jasper. This is for Alberta. And, you know, we're glad to be a partner. Everyone is doing their part here in this. And you know, it's great to be here in Jasper to really show the resiliency that we want to see in that community, and applaud, like I said, the people who have really contributed to the reconstruction. But we were in touch yesterday. As I landed, that's the first message that I sent, was to the Premier of Alberta.
Hi there, I'm Maggie Kirk with CBC. I have a question for Minister Champagne about the Canada-US-Mexico agreement. Trump recently threatened to let the agreement expire. How much weight do you think that comment holds, and what do you expect the outcome to be?
Well, you know, I have been in this job for quite some time. You know, we have learned to take things seriously, but not necessarily to comment on every single comments that may come from our partners south of the border. One thing is sure is that we've been trading with our American partners for decades. And we will continue to trade with our American partners for decades. I'm always reminding them when I go in Washington that Canada is there first customer when it comes to trade. We buy more from the United States than China, Japan, and the UK combined. That the decision on one side of the border will have an impact on both. And that our role as federal government, and you've seen that led by the Prime Minister, Minister LeBlanc, and the team, we have been fighting at every step of the way to defend our workers, to defend our industry, to make sure that we would get the best possible outcome for Canadians from coast to coast to coast. And our strategy has not changed. We will continue to engage constructively. But again, I come from a place where there's an old fox in Shawinigan. And he always reminded me that we've been trading, like I said, for decades. And we will continue to trade for a long time with our American partners. And I think this is the understanding on both sides of the border. And at the same time, we're going to continue to engage in a constructive fashion, as we have done since the very beginning. And I would say there's many contact points. You've seen the Prime Minister was in touch with the President. I've been in touch with my counterpart, Secretary Besson. Other colleagues are in touch, But at the same time, we have learned to look at the long game and make sure that we get the best outcome for Canadians.
Great, thank you. And my follow-up, Prime Minister Carney said he prefers the status quo to a bad deal. Do you consider that an admission of failure? And if you can, could you respond in both English and French for my colleagues at Radio Canada, please? Thanks.
Well, I would say it's more a sign of wisdom that you want to have the best possible deal when you look at that. And the facts speak for themselves. I mean, 85% of our trade is under the CUSMA exemption. We have the lowest effective tariff rate of all countries around the world because our southern partner has decided to change their trade policy and impose tariffs on every country in the world. So I would say that our strategy has been applied with great wisdom and foresight. Now, obviously, the reality is very different if you're in the aluminum industry in Saguenay, if you're in the steel industry in Hamilton, if you're in the softwood lumber industry in BC, if you're in the auto sector in Oshawa, the reality is very different by sector and by region of the country. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge the facts that, when you go at these G7 meetings, the reality of trade has been changing. And this is also a reminder to Canadians that the Prime Minister has always been calling on this nation to focus on what we can control. Focus on what we can control is rebuild our communities like we're doing in Jasper. Focusing on what we can control is removing interprovincial trade barrier. Focusing on what we can control is to diversify our trade with trading partners. And we see that coming. And you've seen the numbers this morning in terms of the output. It's increasing the export of energy. It's making sure that we support communities around the country. So I would say, in that sense, our role has always been and will always be to defend our workers and industry in Canada's best interest. Écoutez, moi je pense que la stratégie canadienne, c'est une stratégie qui a porté fruit. C'est une stratégie qui était basée sur le fait qu'on allait défendre nos travailleurs, nos industries, les intérêts du Canada. Si vous regardez sur une base pan-canadienne, vous allez voir que 85% de nos exportations sont couvertes par les exemptions en vertu d'accords de libre-échange avec les États-Unis et le Mexique. Ça nous donne un tarif effectif autour d'à peu près 5%, qui est le tarif effectif le plus bas de tous les pays du monde, parce que notre partenaire commercial au sud de la frontière a décidé de changer. Il a décidé d'imposer maintenant des tarifs à l'ensemble des pays du monde, mais force est de constater que le Canada, dans les circonstances actuelles, a quand même le tarif le meilleur parmi tous les autres pays du monde. Évidemment, si vous êtes dans le secteur de l'aluminium au Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, la réalité elle est différente. Si vous êtes dans l'automobile à Oshawa, vous sentez ça différemment. Si vous êtes à Hamilton, dans l'industrie de l'acier, la réalité est beaucoup plus dure. Si vous êtes dans l'industrie du bois d'œuvre, ici au Québec, en Colombie-Britannique, évidemment, cette réalité-là est différente. Donc, différente par secteur, différente par région, mais quand même sur l'échelle nationale, vous voyez que la stratégie du Canada de défendre l'intérêt des travailleurs, défendre nos industries, défendre l'intérêt du Canada, ça a été la bonne stratégie. Et on va continuer de s'engager de façon proactive avec nos partenaires au sud de la frontière, mais aussi le Premier ministre a appelé le Canada à focaliser sur ce qu'on contrôle. Qu'est-ce qu'on contrôle? Ce qu'on contrôle, c'est de rebâtir des communautés comme ici à Jasper. Ce qu'on contrôle, c'est de diversifier nos échanges commerciaux à travers le monde. Ce qu'on contrôle, c'est d'enlever les barrières tarifaires entre les provinces. On le voit justement dans les chiffres de ce matin du PIB national, où on voit une croissance économique. Alors, moi, je pense qu'on va continuer de focaliser sur ce qu'on contrôle, continuer de défendre l'intérêt de nos travailleurs, de nos industries, et évidemment les intérêts du Canada.
Thank you.
Merci.
So that concludes our press
Merci.
conference. I
Merci
think.
tout le
So,
monde. Thank you very
you,
much, everyone. Merci.